You're going prampra?
Somebody will come back.
Someone, okay. Someone from the family.
We'll all come for breakfast.
Okay, Jai. So Mother Malini is scheduled to lead the class in discussion. Maybe I can start the preliminaries. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna. Last night, dear Govinda Prabhu asked me to give class this morning. And I said, okay, I can be spontaneous, but so that's where we are at. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudhirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances into the personality of Godhead Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and onto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. And today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, titled Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 10, entitled Bhagavatam is Answer to All Questions. And we are on text 42. We can do one Sanskrit word at a time. Sa, Eva, Idam, Jagaddata, Bhagavan, Dharmarupadrik, Pushnati, Stapayam, Vishvam, Tiryak, Nara, Sura Adibi, Sa Evedam Jagadata, Bhagavan Dharmarupadrik, Pushnati Stapayam Vishvam, Tiryanara Suhadibihi, Sa Evedam Jagadata, Bhagavan Dharmarupadrik, Pushnati Stapayam Vishvam, Tiryam Nara Suradibihi.
Saevedam Jagaddata
Saevedam Jagadata,
Bhagavan Dharma Rupade
Bhagavan Rupadrik
Pushnati Stapayan Vishwam
Pushnati Stapayam Vishvam
Diyanarasradivi
Tiyam Narasvadivi
Savedam Jagatatam
Saevedam Jagadatam
Bhagavan Dharma Rupadrik
Bhagavan Rupadrik
Pushnati Stapayan Vishwam
Pushnati Stapayam Vishvam
Tiryanara Saradivi
Tiyam Narasvadivi. Someone would like to chant online? Okay. Sa, he, Eva, certainly, idam, this, Jagadata, the maintainer of the entire universe,
maintainer of the entire universe,
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
the personality of Godhead,
the personality of Godhead,
Dharma Rupa Drik,
Dharma Rupadrik,
assuming the form of religious principles,
assuming the form of religious principles,
Pusnati,
Pushnati
maintains,
maintains
Stapayam,
Stapayam
after establishing
after establishing
Vishvam,
Vishvam,
the universes,
universes
Tiryak,
Tirya,
living entities lower than the human beings,
living entities lower than the human beings
Nara,
Nara
the human beings,
the human beings
Sura Adibi,
Sura Adi,
by the demigodly incarnation.
the demigodly incarnation.
Translation: He, the personality of Godhead, as a maintainer of all in the universe, appears in different incarnations after establishing the creation, and thus he reclaims all kinds of conditioned souls among the humans and non-humans and the demigods. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, incarnates himself in different societies of living entities to reclaim them from the clutches of illusion. And such activities of the Lord are not limiting only to human society. He incarnates himself even as a fish, hog, tree, and many other forms. But less intelligent persons who have no knowledge of him, deride him even if he is in a human society as a human being. The Lord therefore says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:11, Avajanam timam muda manusintanum ashritam param bhavam majanam to mamuta maheshwaram. As we have already discussed in the previous verses, it is concluded that the Lord is never a product of the material creation. His transcendental position is always unchanged. He is the eternal form of knowledge and bliss, and he executes his almighty will by his different energies. As such, he is never the subject of creation for any of his acts. He is transcendental to all such conception of action and reaction. Even if he is visible in the material world, the exhibition is only of his internal energy, for he is above the good and bad conception of the material world. In the material world, the fish or the hog may be considered lower than the man, but when the Lord appears as a fish or hog, he is neither of them in the material conception. It is his causeless mercy that he appears in every society or species of life, but is never to be considered one of them. Conception of the material world, such as good and bad, lower and upper, important and insignificant, are estimation of the material energy, and the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all such a conception. The word param bhavam, or transcendental nature, can never be compared to the material conception. We should not forget that the potency of the Almighty Lord are always the same and do not decrease because the Lord assumes the form of a lower animal. there is no difference between Lord Sri Ram, Lord Sri Krishna, and his incarnation as a fish and hog. He is all pervading and simultaneously localized at any and every place. But the foolish person with a profound of knowledge, for want of that parambhavam of the Lord, cannot understand how the Supreme Lord can take the form of a man or a fish. One compares everything to one's own standard of knowledge, as a frog in a well considers the sea to be like the well. The frog in the well cannot even think of the sea. And when such a frog is informed of the greatness of the sea, it takes a conception of the sea as being a little greater than the well. As such, one is foolish about the transcendental science of the Lord. As such, one who is foolish about the transcendental science of the Lord will find it difficult to understand how Lord Vishnu can equally manifest himself in every society of living entities. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyanajala Shalakaya Shakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge, and I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Chaitanya Bhanovistam Shtapitamena Bhutali Swayamupa Kadamayam Datata Siswa Padamtikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastari Bhutali Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirviseshya Shunyavadi Bhaskar Jatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he, the personality of Godhead, as a maintainer of all in the universe, appeared in different incarnations after establishing the creation, and thus he reclaimed all kinds of conditioned souls among the human and the non-humans and the demigods. Hare Krishna. So what I get from that verse, Krishna, what I get from that verse is how the Lord is so tenacious. It's just tenacious. He's not going to let go. He's not like, why? Because we are Ekabausham, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So if we were to understand that, in fact, we cannot be separated from Krishna because we are part of Krishna. We are part of the same nature, Sat, Chit, and Nanda. We naturally, our nature, our true nature, as part and parcel of Krishna, is to be eternal, to be full of knowledge, and to be blissful. And there is nothing else, nothing else. And yeah, so everything is an emanation from Krishna. Krishna's multifarious energies, and then he has his expansions. So it's like there is distinction, and at the same time, you know, for Krishna it's all like the same, but it's all coming from him. All his energies, all his expansion, and we are expansion of Krishna. And when the expansion of Krishna, the soul, Jiva soul, decide that I don't want to be an expansion of Krishna anymore. I want to be independent. I want my independence. Then it's not that Krishna cast us away. We cast ourselves away. You know, in Christian theology, it's like we are cast away. But it's really not what's happening. Krishna never cast us away because we are part of parcel of Krishna, and that never changed. It never changed. We stay part and parcel of Krishna, no matter what we decide. And because some of us, at least all the people that we see in this material world, most of them anyway, we have decided that we want to be independent. I don't want to be the part of someone. And it's like if we imagine a 4-year-old have a crisis. There is a 2-year-old, but there is a crisis in 4-year-old little kids. They have a crisis there. And they want to be independent. But like, imagine that they want to be independent, but the reality is that they are not. They are not capable of providing for themselves. They are not capable of taking care of their body. They are not capable of thinking what's right, what's not right. They are not capable of protecting themselves. They are so in a position of vulnerable. They are so vulnerable. So that's where we are at. We are like 4-year-olds and we want to enjoy independently, and we are not capable of doing that. And so Krishna, that's what we have seen so much in this chapter, is how Krishna, he expands himself, especially for his expansion that don't want to be with him. He expands himself, especially for his expansion who don't want to be with him. That's kind of interesting to think about. He's so merciful that he says, okay, those expansion, because Krishna, he wants love. He wants enjoyment, really everything, absolutely everything that surrounds us, everything in the spiritual world and in the material world, everything is for Krishna's enjoyment. He's a supreme enjoyer. There is nothing separated from Ananda, from that blissful energy, that energy of pleasure. Nothing is separated from that energy of pleasure. So Krishna, he wants to enjoy with us. So he expands himself. He expands each time that he has a desire for enjoyment, any desire that manifests from the Lord for enjoyment. And his desire for enjoyment are unlimited. He's unlimitedly creative about his enjoyment. Then he emanates from himself, emanates all the pleasure potency that and that is going to give him the pleasure that he wants. And then when those part and parcel of Krishna we emanate from his pleasure desire, his desire to enjoy, decide to enjoy separately from him, then he knows that they are going to be so miserable because that's not their nature. It's like if the parents say, like, okay, you're 4-year-old, just go, do it, be independent. Then the 4-year-old is going to be very, very, very miserable. The 4-year-old is going to be cold. The 4-year-old is going to be so hungry. The 4-year-old is going to be so scared all the time, all the time. There will be no way for the 4-year-old. Maybe sometime you will feel like, oh, I can play whatever I want, or I can eat whatever I want. Maybe it will be an illusion in some way or another that this is happiness. And mainly the 4-year-old is going to suffer. Mainly the 4-year-old is going to be neglected, is going to be alone. So that's our position. And so the Lord expands himself, through different expansions, starting with Balaram, and then Shankarshan, and then like another Narayan, and then again Sankarshan, Chaturvyuha, and then finally all the Vishnu, starting with Mahavishnu, and then Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, and to Lord Brahma, and then we have this material cosmic manifestation through Krishna's expansion of the expansion, planar expansion of the planetary expansion. So like that, we have all that. And then Srila Prabhupada in one of his classes that I listened recently was saying it's like a prison house. So prison in a sense of reform, a place of reformation, a place where we kind of have an opportunity to wake up to our real nature. Wake up to your real nature. So much of Sadhguru courses are about wake up to your real nature. You're not this body. You're not this false identity. You're not this person who thinks that nobody likes them, or or that you're not this person that's supposed to make millions of dollars, or you're not this person who's supposed to be famous. You're not this person, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So we as soon as we connect with Krishna, Krishna doesn't need anything in the material world, because everything that's desirable in the material world, fame, we desire fame, he has it all. So how can we imagine Krishna having any relationship with the material world? Wealth, he has it all. No relationship with the material world. There is nothing for him to get wealth. He has it all. Beauty, he has it all. Intelligence, he has it all. So there's nothing that we desire and that we seek in this material world that for him is going to be here. So he has nothing to do with the material existence. The only reason that material existence exists is for us. So yes, we cast ourselves in some kind of reformatory, like prisoners, Durga. And Srila Prabhupada also, he was saying, and when someone is in prison, everything is provided for them. Mm-hmm. They have shelter, they have a house, they have food, maybe not the best food, but they have food. And they have protection, there is guard around protecting them. And yeah, everything is provided for them. So the prisoner, his only duty is to understand how to get out of the prison house. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada said, our business is not to strive for economic development. Our business is not to strive to accumulate money or strive to even maintain ourselves or find our food. That's not our business. Our business is to know how to get out of the prison house. And somehow these examples struck me because, prisoner, that would be stupid for them to endeavor for their food or anything, because that's provided by the government, by the taxpayer. So in his purpose, Srila Prabhupada, speaking of the Lord incarnate in every species of life. And earlier in this canto, the second canto, we had a chapter called Schedule Incarnation, with specific function. It's, I don't remember which chapter, maybe 3, 4?
7.
Oh, 7. So chapter 7.
In the first canto is chapter 1 incarnations, chapter 3.
Yeah.
And in the second canto
it's chapter 7. And then it comes back again in the third canto. There is again all the incarnation, and it's kind of described a little bit differently each time. And each time, the first incarnation is a boar. So the very first time. So what Srila Prabhupada is explaining here is that, and in this verse, is that, okay, so Krishna wanted to help his part and parcel to wake up to their real original constitutional position. And we can think about that I'm a soul, and by nature, I'm Shakshit Ananda. And I have nothing to do with this material world of duality, of good and bad, heat and cold. I have nothing to do with any of that. I'm a soul. So we can think like that. So Krishna wanted us to wake up to that, because he knows the 4-year-old is not going to be happy. Even so, the 4-year-old think, I can do it without mom and dad. I can be separated from them. I know it all. It's funny how the 4-year-olds, they just think like that. It's funny. It's humoristic to see, and at the same time, it's sad to see that's what we are doing. So the Lord expands, and then after he's expanded, that's not it. He expands and he makes a perfect system. Everything, all the agency of the demigods to orchestrate everything, the interdependence between all the elements, and how the nature it creates cause and effect. It's automatic, nothing to think about, and we will speak about that this afternoon. Our nature is at the source of the cause and effect, and we are at the source of our own miseries. So the Lord doesn't stop there. He gave us a system. Already that system is enough for us to like realize like, oh my God, I don't belong here. That's not my water. I'm like a fish out of the water. This is not my water. So on the cosmic manifestation is sufficient for that, for us to realize I'm not in my natural element. This is not what's natural for me. The cosmic manifestation, as it works by itself, is enough for that. However, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy and desire to help us, he also incarnates himself within the cosmic manifestation. And starting with a bow. And as a bow, what he does, he dives because the Earth's planet was under water of the Carbonic Ocean. And so as a bow, he dived and he get the Earth out. How merciful. And then through the Veda, we get to hear about the bow incarnation that serves Mother Earth. We can start to really appreciate the Lord's action when he comes in this material world, that he gets us out of Noah's Ark or whatever, the big devastation of us being underwater. So through the Veda, it said the Veda is the mother, so Krishna is the father of the 4-year-old, and the Veda's knowledge is the mother. So through the Veda, we can hear about the bow incarnation. And Queen Kunti, when she prays, in her prayer, she said, oh, there is so many speculation about why the Lord incarnate himself, Lord Krishna specifically. And in her prayer, she said, some say that you incarnate yourself to support us to hear and chant and remember your glories. So we can look at all the incarnation of the Lord, starting with the bow incarnation, and then there is the Narayana and the 4 Kumaras, who are like Satyavesh avatar, like empowered souls that come on earth, so that come in the material, cosmic manifestation just with a mission to serve us. Narayana and then Nishangadev, and so many incarnations. It comes as a half man, half lion. It comes in different form like that, and all of them, like people, they don't believe because they want like Avajananti Ma Muda. Muda is like us, like people who are like us. They don't believe that the Lord can incarnate as a bow because they are asses. So they don't understand that the Lord can, or a fish, like Matsya avatar, the fish avatar, or Kurma as a turtle. So many. And so they don't understand, because they want to control. They want to control what God can do and what God cannot do. I know better because I know everything else better. So I'm going to tell you what God can do and God cannot do. I'm going to tell you how many names God can have and the name that God cannot have. It's that tendency to lord over material nature, expand into lording over spiritual nature, wanted to lord over and not understanding transcendence. Understanding transcendence, that transcendence is above anything that's in the dual world. So Srila Prabhupada, in its purport here, he said, the duality of the world is in thinking superior and inferior. Yes, we always want to put people or things like I'm superior to that person, I'm inferior to that person. Very rarely do we see ourselves equal somehow. It's very difficult to do that. Even so, we are all human beings. We are just like spirit soul having a human experience. And I'm practicing, and I see how it's helpful to see people as spiritual having a human experience. because like the tendency is like with ourselves to see ourselves as God is very perverting. And then the other side of that is to see ourselves as dog. Like, oh, I'm so bad, I'm so guilty, I'm so whatever, I have so many shortcomings. And to see ourselves as God is to think we are superior somehow. We are superior to everybody else. We have something more than everybody else. Maybe one of the opulence of the Lord. Maybe I'm more intelligent than everybody else, or I'm more beautiful than everybody else, or I'm more wealthy than everybody else, or I'm more whatever. We have a tendency like that to think in a way that's superior. You know, whatever I do is best. If I'm a doctor, I'm the best doctor. If I am a personnel coach, I'm the best personnel coach. If I do personal growth, I'm the best personal growth facilitator, or I'm the best personal growth person. You know, I have the best breakthrough or breakdown. Sometimes I have the best breakdown. It's always the best somehow. It's always the best. And to just like calm down. No. What you're doing is just what you're doing. It's not the best. It's not the worst either. It's just the service you're rendering. You're rendering service by being, you know, this spiritual in this human experience. And if you can detach yourself and see it as a human experience, and all orchestrated by the Lord, all in perfect order, knowing that I don't need to give power to that incarnation of mine. And if I can see it as outside of duality of good and bad and superior and inferior, then that's liberation. That's liberation, regardless what's happened with my body, regardless with what's happened with my activities. All my bodies and activities and everything I do is moved. Everything is moved. Not even a blade of grass moved without the sanction of the Lord. So the Lord is moving everything. So everything in our life moves because of the Lord. So if I can see that, and I'm stepping out of duality, and I also can step out of duality of putting God in a category also. And Srila Prabhupada speak about the Mudas, how they don't accept that, you know, like because they see a hog inferior, because they see a fish inferior, then they project that on the Lord. But for the Lord, being a fish is all glorious. The boar incarnation is so beautiful. Is so glorified. Is so glorified. That's beautiful. Like the blood that come out of the tusk of the Lord, and his perspiration, and the boar is so glowing with effulgence. So beautiful of a boar. Nothing to do with like a material boar or a hog. So Srila Prabhupada said, yes, we need to understand the transcendental nature. Janma karma shame devyamevam yoveti tatvataha. Tadya deham punajama naiti mameti. So Arjuna. So if we understand the birth and the activities of the Lord, the transcendental birth and the transcendental activity, like the Lord is born, but he's unborn. He's born of Vasudeva and Devaki, and he's unborn. The Lord walk, but he cannot walk. The Lord is everywhere and is only one place. So if we understand the birth and activities of the Lord, then we don't need to take birth again in this material world. There is no need for us to again take a birth in this material world. And that's the end of the 4-year-old suffering. That's the end. He understands the activities of his parents. Oh, mom loved me. She loved me unconditionally. Oh, dad is maintaining me and protecting me, and he has my back no matter what. Oh, let me go back home, and everything is provided for me there. Nice food, it's warm, everything is so provided for me. I don't need to do anything. I just need to shelter myself under mom and dad. So that's a position that's offered to us. And then, of course, the last incarnation, as we know it, is Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, he came 500 years ago to give us a beautiful process. Every time the Lord comes, always for a purpose. He always comes for a purpose. And Queen Kuti prays that to Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna came specifically as Krishna, in his original form as Krishna. Is in original form as Krishna, bringing down a facsimile of the spiritual world on earth. From Gokula Vrindavan, Gokul in one of the Vaikuntha, from Goloka Vrindavan to Gokula Vrindavan. So he brings directly his energy, his internal energy. He brings all that, the facsimile, here on this earth, in Vrindavan, in what we know, Vrindavan, India. Of course, Vrindavan, India is way bigger than the little village that we can see with our eyes. In order to really see Vrindavan, we need to have the proper eyes. To see the pastime of the Lord, we need to have the proper eyes. Still, when we go to Vrindavan, the land of Vrindavan, every particle of dust of Vrindavan have been touched by the lotus feet of the Lord. And so it's very special. It's very special. So the Lord came as himself 5,000 years ago to allow us to enter into his eternal pastimes, to really get into his eternal pastime and understand the relishable relationship that we can have with him. There's so many relishable. So as he manifests his pastime on earth, we get the nectar by hearing about those pastimes again and again and again. We get the nectar of that transcendental relationship with the Lord that's available to us. And then the Lord wrapped up all his pastime on earth, went back, and then he forgot something. He forgot something. He gave us his pastimes. He gave us what the relationship looked like, but he didn't give us how we get there. He didn't give us in his pastime as Krishna how to get there. So he forgot. He said, okay, I'm going to go back. And so he came back as Lord Chaitanya. And, that's his external reason for coming back. There is internal reason why he came back also, Lord Chaitanya, because when he was, manifesting his pastime, he could see like, Srimati Radharani is loving me so much. She has so much devotion to me. I want to understand that. So he decided to come as Lord Chaitanya to show us, to really directly enact the pastime of being a devotee of the Lord, enacting the pastime. And the same thing, when he comes as a boar, he's not a boar, he's a transcendental Lord. When he comes as a devotee of the Lord, he's not a devotee of the Lord, he's a transcendental supreme personality of Godhead. Still, he came as a devotee of the Lord, and also as an incarnation of combined incarnation of the mood of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, and the golden completion of Krishna. And so there is no difference. Krishna and Lord Chaitanya are one and the same. And Lord Chaitanya, he came here to show us, here is how you do it. And I was hearing about a class, and Prabhupada was quoting from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how there is no distinction between Vrindavan and Navadvip. And that means that in those pastimes of the Lord, of the Sankirtan movement of the Lord, we fully enter the Vrindavan pastime. Through giving ourselves completely to the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya, hearing and chanting, being in the street, chanting the holy name of the Lord, distributing books, mainly glorifying the Lord. Sankirtan, the Sankirtan movement is glorifying the Lord. By glorifying the Lord constantly, then we enter with no hindrance the eternal pastime of the Lord. And there is no difference between Lord Chaitanya dancing in the street of Navadvip and Lord Krishna having his pastime with Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd boys, and the gopis. So that's how merciful the Lord is. He created a place where we cast ourselves to get what we want, and realize that, oh, this is not my nature. Then he comes again and again for us to get to relish his pastime, hear his pastime, understand that he's always there to save the day. Every single time he's always there to save the day. He comes in his original form to give us a taste of how relishable it is to be in that eternal relationship with the Lord, to be in that fully extensive, variegated pastimes of the Lord with him. And then he comes as Lord Chaitanya to tell us how to do that. Cheto Darpanamarjanam Mahabhava Davagnina Vapanam. So he comes here to like all glories Sankirtan Param Vijayati Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, all glories to the Sankirtan movement. All glories to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan movement. By glorifying the Lord and his activity, we get to purify our heart and get off that contamination. We are conditioned soul. We are conditioned by the material energy. We are just conditioned, and by just a little bit intelligence, Srila Prabhupada, we can see that. We can see even Srila Prabhupada gives example of our conditioning. I'm thinking outside of the box. Some foundational course we had that exercise that help us understand how we have a tendency to think inside our box. We think within our assumption. We have no capacity to think outside of our assumption. So Srila Prabhupada gives example of, for us to understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, we need to be able to step out of our assumption. We need to step out of what we know. Yantra, that machine of the material energy we were speaking about yesterday in Dear Govinda's class. We need to be able to think outside of that machine. And with little intelligence, we can see even in our day-to-day, all our assumption. I was raised French, so I have so much assumption about the way things should be. For example, in politics, or in healthcare, or in parenting, education. I think in a certain way, like lately I have been involved in a litigation, you say that in English, a French litigation, okay? And so it was in my family, and I'm the only one not living in France. And so the notary, again and again, they will ask me for things, papers. And those papers are French papers. They are not American papers. They don't exist in the administration of the American administration. Those papers that they were asking me, they don't exist. in American administration. And it was so difficult for the notary to get that. It should be. You should have a RIB, whatever a RIB is. It's something to do with the bank. Well, no, I called 2 banks and they don't have it. Impossible, impossible. All banks have a RIB. Yeah, all French bank, not American bank. No, you need to provide a RIB. I called 2 banks. They don't have it. So that's how we do so many things in our life. And until we investigate, am I thinking that way? Because that's the way my mother was thinking, my grandmother was thinking. Am I thinking that way because of my conditioning, growing up in that family, growing up in that country, growing up with that certain body, growing up like that of knowledge? Or am I open to think outside of the box? So Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the frog, Dr. Frog. So we are like Dr. Frog. We try to understand something that's way bigger than us, transcendence. We try to understand Lord Krishna. We try to understand the boar incarnation, the fish incarnation. We try to understand how the Lord functions. But what can we understand? We are like Dr. Frog. Dr. Frog was in a well, and he was very educated in his well. He was so educated in his well. You know, he had many PhD. He had PhD about the length of his well. He has PhD in geography. He had PhD in history of the well, in the psychology of the well. He had PhD. He had so many PhD. He knew every aspect of the well. There was nothing that was unknown to Dr. Frog. He could control every aspect of the well. And then one day, someone jumped in his well. And he said, I just came to visit the ocean. Ocean? There's no ocean in a well. No. I have all the PhD, I study everything. There is no ocean in a well. That was his first reaction. But then, you know, I saw the ocean, believe me. And I just jumped into your well. I wasn't here before, you didn't know me. And then the visitor started to explain that the ocean is so gigantic. And then Dr. Frog, he continued his tendency to want to control knowledge and know everything. So he puffed himself up like that. Okay, so this ocean should be like 3 times like my well. And the visitor said, no, way bigger, way bigger than my well. And he puffed himself again, bigger, because, I have a big head, I can't understand the ocean. And then he said, 10 times bigger than my well. And then the visitor said, no, way bigger than that. The bigger and bigger and bigger, it's just so big. And then go on like that. And Dr. Frog, Prabhupada describes sometimes, Dr. Frog started to puff himself every time, 100,000. And he wanted to really control how big the ocean is, and he exploded. It just exploded because it became so puffed up that it just exploded. So that's what we do. That's what we do. We try to control the material energy, and all we do is explode ourselves. We really hurt ourselves again and again and again until we surrender. I don't know how big the ocean is, but I know there is an ocean. I know there is an ocean. I know there is a source of water. And I know that even my well and the water in that well is born of that ocean. And then from that point on, when we accept that the Lord is inconceivable, Lord Chaitanya came to show us Achinta Bela Bela Tattva, how inconceivable is inconceivable oneness and difference, that we are one with the Lord. We are one with the Lord. And at the same time, we are different. Quantitatively, we are different. we are separated from the Lord. Why? Because through that separation, the Lord can receive what he is desiring, which is enjoyment through our love and our service. So Lord Chaitanya is engaging us in Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam, hearing and chanting. And through hearing and chanting, we can revive just by chanting. By chanting, by using our tongue to chant, by eating prasadam, we revive our knowledge and experience of our constitutional position as part and parcel of Krishna. How beautiful it is that we are non-different than Krishna. We are not Krishna. We are not Krishna. We'll never be Krishna. But we are non-different than him. And that's really special. How much love the Lord has for his part and parcel, that he accepts. He's so benevolent. He gives us a place for reformation where we can be in illusion that we are independent. He comes again and again and again to show us the religious principle. He came as Matsya. He saved the Veda. As Matsya, he saved the Veda. He didn't want our mother to die. So as Matsya, as a fish incarnation, he saves the Veda. Yeah. And as Kuma, he helps the demons and the demoniac to churn the nectar of immortality. Just see how the Lord is so unbelievably benevolent and caring about us. And as Lord Chaitanya, he gives us the holy name of the Lord. He gives us the philosophy of oneness and difference for us to understand who we are and how, not simply who we are and the possible relationships that we could have with Krishna, but how to get there. How to get there with his associate, like so much pastime of the Lord. We can be in those pastimes. We can be in all the Prasadam pastimes, all the Prasadam. Next festival, what's next festival where we can all have Prasadam together? We can be in those pastimes. We can be in those pastimes this morning. Parampara led us in such ecstatic Go Puja and Kirtan. We can be that. We are in pastime of Lord Chaitanya when we are in Kirtan. If we are fully absorbed in Kirtan, we are with Lord Chaitanya. We are with Lord Chaitanya. And reaching out, Lord Chaitanya traveled all over South India, Navadvip, and in Navadvip also he sang Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda, his first expansion, Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. They went door to door. They were asking, begging people, chant the name of the Lord. Remember Krishna. Chant here the name of the Lord. So we can do that too. There is no impediment for us to be fully absorbed in Lord Chaitanya's movement, and that's the reason the Lord came back, because he's so merciful. He's so merciful that regardless what species of life we incarnate, and we have been incarnated. Yesterday I was chanting and I was thinking, yeah, I was thinking because tomorrow is Haripriya's wedding, and so there's many people involved, and I know Haripriya really wanted me to be there, and I've made a decision not to attend. And but I was thinking of wedding. I was thinking, oh, I never had a wedding in this lifetime. I was just thinking like that. I never had a wedding in this lifetime. I didn't have a wedding. And I was thinking, oh, interesting. I wonder how many weddings I had before, and in which species of life. And was I a man or a woman when I had my weddings? And my mind started to really think of all the lifetimes I had, all the parents I had, all the husband I had, all the wife I had, all the wedding I had, all the children I may have. Imagine when I was like a fish, how many children they have. When they give birth to hundreds and hundreds of eggs that transform in baby fish and schools of fish. How many babies I had before? And I was thinking, well, let's not desire anything. Let's not desire anything. Let's not desire anything material. That I already had it all. I'm sure I had wealth at one point or another. I'm sure I had a beautiful, fulfilling relationship with a partner and a huge wedding. I'm sure. Like we Nitya Bada, we are eternally conditioned, Prabhupada said. So we had it all. We even lived in a Vedic time, because sometimes we can desire that. Oh, I wish I was living in a Vedic time when everybody's sushi, everybody's, like the Brahmanical culture. Like we can wish for that too. But even wishing for that is kind of wishing to come back to the material world. That's why Lord Chaitanya, when speaking with Ramananda, he said, Varnashram, he said, Varnashram is still material. Still material. Still. So we have desired so many things already. And we have attained so many things. Because we don't land from the spiritual sky. We don't land in Kali Yoga in 2021. We don't land like that. We have a long journey before coming here. A long journey going up and down and up. We went to the heavenly planet. We have heavenly pleasure. We live in Satya Yoga. We did it all before we arrived here. But apparently it wasn't sufficient, at least for our condition, our desire for independence was so strong that we stayed millions of lifetimes. We stayed 8,400,000 species of life. We stayed. So let's make this one lifetime the last one. We have an opportunity. Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago, so merciful. And the Lord is incarnating as a Paramatma throughout all those lives. I was thinking of that too. The Lord was with me at my wedding. Whenever I had a wedding, I don't know if it was like 1,000 years ago, 1,000 lifetimes ago, or whenever I had a wedding, because that was the start of my meditation, the wedding. The Lord was with me. He was with me in my heart. He witnessed that wedding. He said, don't do that. Don't even desire it. Not that I desire wedding. Don't even go to other people's weddings, so I really don't want mine. But still, for us to meditate like that we have it to really make this lifetime the last one. And we have an opportunity because we are so close. Lord Chaitanya came yesterday to give him his Sankirtan movement. And not only that, Lord Chaitanya's son is chief commander to us 50 years ago. So we are so fortunate. Let's not spoil that opportunity. Let's not spoil it. We don't know next life what it will be. We don't know if we will find Srila Prabhupada, if we will be coming, like in contact with Lord Chaitanya. So let's be urgent and remember that whatever we desire, we can think like anything, like a desire for something. Just remember, oh, I already got that. And then we can let it go. Because I already got it. And we can let it go. Because for sure we did. And we did it way better. Let's say I wanted a marble countertop in my new house. I probably had a marble house in some life. Marble house with jewelry all over, everywhere. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Sa evadam jagadata bhagavan dharma upadrik pushnati stapayam vishvam tiryam nara suradibihi. He, the personality of Godhead, as the maintainer of all the universe, appears in different incarnations after establishing the creation, and thus he reclaims all kind of conditioned souls among the humans, the non-human, and the demigods. Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening. Is there any question, comments, sharing, realization, challenges? Yes.
I was thinking, well, so this material world is a dull, perverted reflection of the spiritual world, and when you described Krishna as the boar, like and you described his, like, how beautiful he was, very detailed.
Mhm.
I felt like for a moment I had this almost like this physical, or just there was this I had a realization, and I just realizing, like, almost like, I don't know, Dr. Frog, or that that I have this conditioning and this puffed up, like, oh, that, like, how can that be? It's like, I can't. How can Krishna be a boar? How and also for me, why would Krishna be a boar? And I have, like, but when you described how beautiful in that very detailed way, it just felt, wow, like we're so, this is such a dull reflection, that I think that's real. I think that's the real thing, but really, what you described is reality, is the real thing, and this isn't. And I attach to it, and I think, oh, that can't be the real thing, because it's so out, far out there, but so that was a realization that I had when you were sharing.
Yes, it's interesting what you're sharing, is that the Lord Boar, the gigantic Lord Boar, and he's so effulgent and shining and so beautiful, and even his perspiration is attractive. Every part of that boar is attractive. And that cannot be, because what is this dull material energy. And what is the reality is, my house at the corner, and my children, and government, and Trump, and Biden's, and all that's reality. And then the Lord Boar, that cannot be real. And we come back here, and you can see through that yeah, we are so conditioned. We are so conditioned to take reality for what's illusion, and think that what reality is illusion.
I think it just shined a light for me on how deeply conditioned I am. The conditioning is so deep, and it's hard for me to step outside of that. And so I think I had a moment. I had a very quick moment of that when you were describing.
Hitting.
Yes,
Hitting that.
Oh, wait a minute! Like, it was a quick. Yes. A moment out of my illusion, I guess.
A fitting moment of holding the Lord as a beautiful boar.
Yeah. And I was also thinking about when you were sharing. Let me see if I can remember. That. I don't know if I remember actually. So I started to think about because my you were saying my breakdown is the best breakdown, and my victim story is the best victim story, and and so I just started thinking of grungies, and like grungies are just because I was thinking, when I go into a grungie, I'm really self-absorbed and really thinking that I am like God, like that I'm better than, or that because I'm
the omnipotent person.
Yes, that I'm good, it's so opposite of humble of, and but those grungies are, and so I was just thinking about my own grungies and how I go there and think that, oh, I'm the biggest victim right now, and I'm the saddest. I'm so the saddest person right now, or just so that was another thing that was
Yeah, our tendency is to kind of want to hold on to our identification and anything that bring us to believe our stories. It's really believing our stories. Anything that lead us to believe our stories lead us also to increase our false identification and our false ego. Yeah. And
Somehow or other, I get to be number one.
yes.
Like the disciple offered obeisance to Prabhupada. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, I am your most fallen disciple. Prabhupada responded, you're not the most anything.
Yeah, that tendency to think you're better or you're higher or lower. It's like so, and it can be so subtle. It's so subtle that I don't even see it. That it's just it's not necessarily like loud and like like that it's obvious. But it's like always subtly there. Because of my human condition, because of like it's always there until that's just part of our experience in this human body, is to always be doing that. So it's the
Yes, it's very insidious, and at the same time, like I'm diving very deep for the last many weeks into the Bhasam of Lord Chaitanya cleansing the Gangucha temple. And for us, the most important is to really see the dirt and the dust and the straw inside our heart. And that tendency to want to be God, to really allowing ourselves to see in those so many insidious ways that it is there. And then as we clean a little bit, then Krishna comes and clean a lot. But as long as we want to hold on to our dirt and straw or whatever, then the Lord doesn't really move. Yeah. So Srimvatam Swagata Krishna's Punya Shravana Kirtana, we don't just go Yogarani, we do notice Sud Satan. That Sri Krishna personated Godhead, who is a benefactor of the truthful devotee, and the Paramatma is inside our heart. It cleans all the desires for material desires from our heart. So Krishna has the power to clean our heart, but we need to be truthful, and that truthfulness is to find all the insidious way that I think I'm better. My not an I am better, but my creation is better. My whatever, the I and mine is insidious in so many ways, and to really investigate, is that truth? Like Baron Katie should say, is that true? And then, is that absolutely truth? Do you know that for sure is the truth? That whatever I created is the best of the best of the best. Like, is that true? Is that absolutely true? And if we go to absolutely true, most of the time we will find no, this is not the absolute truth. This is my false ego at work. This is me, the insidious way of identification with this body, identification with that story, identification with this one lifetime that's so insignificant. So insignificant, and we can make it so significant by giving it to Krishna. We can make it so significant by giving it to Krishna.
I recently met someone who I experienced as my experience with them is that they think they're better than others, or more intelligent, or
Arrogant.
yes,
Some arrogance, like I'm superior, I know better.
yeah. But I'm just thinking that, like, I felt, put off by that, but really, it's just more, it's just louder than mine. It's just this, I
It's
have
a
the
mirror.
same, I have the same, and that's why I was probably put off by it, because it's just, it's part of who I am, or not who I am, eternally, not my, that's not what my, but who I am, and as Rebecca in this material body, like I have the same tendency, and it just looks different, it's not loud, like this, so I'm just reflecting on that.
Atmavan Manati Jagat, whatever we see in other is what's inside our hearts. So that person was like a magnifying mirror, and you could see like, okay, well, I'm triggered by that person because it's so in my face. But if I look deeper and if I continue to investigate my heart, like then I can see I have the same tendency to feel superior, and maybe I don't express it, or maybe I express it in being the most humble. Whatever. I may express it in so many ways, but not, at least I'm not expressing it the way that person is expressing it.
Wow, sometimes I feel like I just, like when I learn more about this philosophy, sometimes I feel like I just don't even know who, like how to be here. It's like, because I just, okay, let me try to be more humble, but then it's hard for me to see clearly, just to see clearly, like exactly what, where I'm at in the process.
It's a moment to moment investigation. It's like Prabhupada said, it's a razor edge. It's so easy because, like, let's say I do go into humility, but then the moment I'm like really experiencing humility, I may feel like, oh, finally I'm humble, so I'm quite devotee, and then I'm losing it. You know, it's like moment to moment we connect with something, and as soon as we allow ourselves to look at it and we feel puffed up about it, and then it's finished, gone. Like the gopis, you know, they were dancing with Krishna, and then they became puffed up because, oh, I'm dancing with Krishna, and Krishna is alone with me, and he's only for me and nobody else. Krishna left the rasa dance. The moment they put like that. So it's about like not, it's like really stepping fully out of I am mine, including my spiritual advancement or my state of consciousness or whatever.
Yeah, I'm thinking of back to what I was sharing about the boar and having that moment, and then I think that maybe that's what it's like for me right now, just to have these like quick moments, but how to have that be, stretch out those moments, and for it, does that make sense? Like
yeah, you have fleeting moments like that, like visible, and then the question is that, okay, how to be in that consciousness more, and part of it is remembering those moments, in an humble way, like remembering, oh Krishna, thank you so much for giving me that fleeting realization about the Lord God. Not remembering, oh, I was so advanced for a fleeting moment. Like really remembering that Krishna is the one who does the work. Krishna only reveals himself when he chooses to. And that's really important to remember, that Krishna only reveals himself when he chooses to. So whatever realization we get, to not own them and make them part of our false identification again, or our false ego, but whatever realization we get, to make them part of our unity of thanking Krishna, or Krishna on my own, I could never understand that. But thank you for choosing to reveal yourself a little bit to me at this moment.
Yes, I think you said offering it to Krishna. I don't know if you said it exactly like that, but I heard you say.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for your comment. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for being here. Krantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you for being here.